case you aren't aware, on August 7th, 2019, a momentous workshop took place in which the FTC sat down with members of the video game industry to talk about loot boxes and all the contention and discussion surrounding it. This is a topic that's been boiling for a while now, with the FTC site set on this generally abhorred monetization system. There were a number of topics that were brought up during the workshop, which I've delved into in a previous video. Organizations like the ESA and the ESRB made the same tired justifications, and in retort, consumer advocacy organizations cut through their BS like butter. The gaming industry tried to look concerned and proactive by launching an initiative for all major platform holders and major game companies to disclose loot box odds, but consumer advocates correctly pointed out that this by itself is a minuscule step that will not make that much of a difference, noting how odds can be manipulated by game publishers and developers on a whim at the flick of a finger, how the way real dollars are separated from in-game items through premium currency obscures people's ability to gauge in-game items' real-world value, how kids in particular wouldn't understand the odds and percentages anyway, and how adults who have gambling problems don't let the knowledge of odds stop them anyway, citing the example of how despite knowing how little chance there is to win the lottery, many people buy them anyway because of the thrill of the chase. On top of all that, also disconcerting is the fact that game publishers will go out of their way to skew perception surrounding the awful odds of obtaining rare items in order to make these odds seem like they're better than they really are, according to a recent report. The following information was brought to light by an article from website Polygon, which covered aspects of the recent FTC loot box workshop. Among the discussions that were had concerned how game publishers throw money around to who you might commonly know as influencers for promotion of certain aspects of a game. One of the attendees of the workshop was CEO of online performance group Omid Dariani, whose company manages and represents a wide variety of content creators like Angry Joe. During the workshop, Dariani was asked about the relationship between game publishers and creators and the kind of exchanges that occur behind the scenes. Here's a question that FTC's Brittany Frassetto asked. Based on your expertise, do video game publishers pay these content creators to open loot boxes? Do they pay for the loot boxes? And if so, do they at times give them better odds than the public at large? And how much of that is disclosed? To that, Dariani responded as follows. Companies do pay for that sort of thing. It's pretty uncommon for it to specifically be, hey, just open a bunch of loot boxes, but we have definitely seen that. I've definitely been in a room where publishers said, we could do better odds on the packs that this person opens for promotional purposes. That's only been one time. Dariani also added that publishers in the esports space were most likely to ask and pay popular creators to open loot boxes. So as you guys know, there are plenty of YouTubers and streamers out there who make their living off of opening a bunch of loot boxes. They film themselves reacting as loot boxes yield a wide variety of different rewards, with the whole draw of this type of content being the reaction they have the few times they get an extremely rare in-game item. The way Dariani described it was, quote, content creators very often open the loot boxes because audiences really enjoy that. It's exciting, right? You don't know what's going to come out. You don't know if they're going to get the rare stuff, and hey, I don't have thousands of dollars to spend on buying my own loot boxes so I can watch someone else do it and sort of live vicariously through them. Me personally, I've always despised the existence of such videos and the way they glorify opening loot boxes and reinforce people to engage in these psychologically manipulative gambling-like monetization mechanics that solely benefit these video game corporations. But making matters that much worse is the knowledge that game publishers are manipulating strings behind the scenes, which is hardly surprising. They'll not only pay these types of YouTubers or streamers to upload videos of themselves opening loot box after loot box. On occasions, they may even go as far as tweaking the odds for these specific creators in order to intentionally misrepresent odds for viewers. Dariani brought up how some people may choose to watch these loot box opening videos instead of engaging in this activity themselves, but it goes without saying that on the other side of that coin are people who will watch these videos, see how much fun the popular content creator is having, see how it didn't take them as many tries to get this ultra-rare item as expected, and that will lure susceptible viewers into emulating the creator and partaking in that activity as well, with the mindset that they also can obtain these rare items with just a couple of tries too. when in reality the chances might be 1 in 1,000 or 1 in a million. And every new person who gets hooked to these loot boxes because of content creators' promotion and glorification of these monetization schemes is a huge win for game publishers who want people spending recklessly and hooked to this kind of thing. Now, according to Omid Dariani, a publisher discussing giving a content creator special treatment and lowering the odds for them for promotional purposes only happened once in his experience, but his company, Online Performance Group, is only one of many management companies. I have little doubt that if others were to come forward with their own experiences and interactions with game publishers, we would hear about plenty more cases where publishers tried and even succeeded in misrepresenting loot box odds by using creators as marketing tools. This is what game publishers do. It's all about manipulating perception, both blatantly and subtly, through the things they say and through the things they show, all to fulfill their financially driven agendas. It's about, declaring that single-player games are dying to justify their push towards shadily monetized live services. It's about denying that loot boxes are gambling and rebranding them as surprise mechanics, while claiming they're about providing player choice, adding fun, giving value, and ensuring fairness to make them seem innocent in the eyes of the public and encroaching government bodies. It's about introducing useless initiatives like the vague and uninformative in-game purchases label to seem proactive. And as highlighted in this article, it's about paying people with influence to promote their gambling garbage in a way that makes them look like they're super fun and fulfilling, and as though the odds aren't nearly as bad as they really are. And this brings me back to the information that I covered in one of my last videos where I discussed some of the statements that the ESA and the ESRB made about the loot box controversy and what consumer advocacy organizations had to say in the report. I mentioned before how the ESA tried to make it look like they were taking the loot box issue seriously by introducing this initiative to make all major platform holders mandate that loot box odds be disclosed, and how consumer advocates provided tons of reasons for why such an initiative is actually pretty useless and ineffective on its own. Well, add one more reason to the list. Even if game publishers disclose odds and percentages of earning rewards in loot boxes, that doesn't mean they won't try to skew perception and blur perspective by paying influential people to open loot boxes like they're the best thing ever, and tweaking the odds in the influencer's favor to detract from the awful percentages. The thing about problem gamblers is that their reactions are never analytical. They're always impulsive when it comes to gambling. Even if somebody shows a problem gambler these stats about how there's less than 1% chance of getting a certain rare item, if they see somebody else getting that item after just a couple tries with this gleeful reaction, if they watch a YouTuber have that moment, they won't think about the odds. They're not going to think about calculating the percentages. They'll think about what a great sensation it must be, and they'll start telling themselves that, well, the YouTube guy managed to get the rare items in a couple tries and explode with happiness, so why couldn't I? It's a tactic any company uses for product ads and commercials. It's all about fantasy fulfillment, about exaggerating the wonders of the products they're selling. It's all about making people think, if I do what the people in this commercial or video are doing, if I buy these things, these wonderful things seen here will definitely happen to me too. It's kind of like how Axe body spray tries to appeal to men by...
Zone A captured. Zone advantage is yours.
All right, buddy. Take it easy, guy.
Zone C lost. You captured Zone B. Zone advantage is yours. You have my respect, Hunter.
Showing commercials where the guy who uses Axe suddenly becomes a chick magnet. Same thing with these paid YouTube videos that center around loot box openings and gleeful reactions. What's shown there is the fantasy, the ideal version of something that will never truly live up to the aggrandized presentation. Because in the real world, when it comes to loot boxes, the grim reality is that the average Joe will just be throwing money at these glorified slot machines and spinning them time and time again, and then feel miserable at the fact that all this money went to waste because after their 100th or 1000th loot box opening, they still didn't get the thing they wanted because they were duped by the YouTube videos that are really more of an extension of a game company's marketing department. And for those who fall into the trap of sunk cost fallacy, they'll tell themselves, well, I've already invested all this money into this game. If I pull out now, it'd be a waste, so I have to keep investing more until I get the rewards that I want. And that creates more of a vicious cycle, which is exactly what game companies want. An example of what opening loot boxes en masse actually looks like is these kids from the UK who emptied out their parents' bank account because the FIFA card packs they kept buying would not give them Lionel Messi. The reality of opening loot boxes is never quite as joyous as the loot box openings on YouTube channels as these YouTubers make them out to be. Because regular consumers, first of all, are not paid to open loot boxes, and also they don't have companies giving them special treatment by tweaking the odds in their favor, or anything of the sort. And yet, with all of this happening behind the scenes, with all this shady shit going on, the ESRB said during the FTC workshop, quote, I think you have to trust that the industry is serious about making the commitment they announced this morning. That's in reference to the loot box odds disclosure mandate. They have their own customers to serve, and they've made a commitment to make disclosures easy to access and be understandable. As we learned earlier this morning, loot boxes vary game to game, loot box to loot box. There is no one silver bullet for disclosures. There is no one standard. I think we have to leave it to individual game developers to develop the right type of disclosures for their game and their customers. So to make this long paragraph short, the ESRB is saying just trust the game publishers and developers to do right by consumers. Yeah, never gonna happen. Game publishers have proven time and again how untrustworthy they are. Given the chance, these greedy game publishers have shown time and again that they will always choose to screw over consumers if it ultimately means generating more revenue and meeting financial guidelines and keeping investors happy. We have seen this happen blatantly with all the numerous instances of games integrity being completely ruined by monetization systems at launch and post-launch, and we can see it happen subtly based on testimonials of how game publishers will try to pay influencers to essentially deceive viewers about the nature of loot boxes and their abysmal probabilities. The notion that these corrupt publishers are proposing that we trust them, that we let these companies who psychologically exploit players through scummy monetization schemes, who overpay their executives while nonchalantly laying off hundreds of employees who can't even be bothered to pay a single dollar in taxes, often getting subsidies from the government through loopholes, regulate themselves is preposterous. That's like the mafia proposing that law enforcement trust them with self-regulating murders. Keith S. White from the National Council on Problem Gambling put it best during the FTC loot box workshop. He said, nobody in the gambling issue would ever trust the slot machine manufacturer to self-certify that their machines and the odds and randomness of their machines perform as they say. We use independent testing labs to verify that the odds are stated, and they often find machines that don't perform adequately. It's an important consumer protection feature. So if the industry is going to provide us information on odds and randomness, take a lesson from the gambling side. You've got to get it done independently. It's not going to be effective if you're just saying, trust us, these items drop at this rate. Indeed, what we really need is an objective third-party entity that can offer objective oversight and regulation, who doesn't have a stake in the issue of loot boxes, who can look at all of this from a consumer perspective. It goes without saying that the guys raking in billions of dollars every year from unregulated loot boxes can't be trusted with regulating loot boxes fairly. So there you have it, folks. These are one man's thoughts and opinions on Dariani's statement regarding game publishers paying off influencers and content creators.
Rev up your engines! Today I'm going to show you 5 things you should never do in a standard transmission car if you want it to last. Now the first thing is don't downshift all the time from fourth to third to second to first like a race car driver. Now race car drivers drive their way for a for a reason. They have a limited power band. Let's say the power band is 8,000 RPMs. They always want to keep the engine about 8,000 RPMs. So if they're slowing down, they'll put it in the next lower gear or the next lower gear until they get to the maximum power band, and then they keep shifting to keep it in the power band. But if you're just driving normally, you don't need to do that. You're going to wear out the engine and the transmission faster. And let's face it, brakes are a lot cheaper than clutches. Of course, in an emergency situation, sure, downshift to a lower gear, slam the brakes on, that'll stop the car the fastest. But for normal driving, downshifting isn't a smart thing to do if you want things to last. Now, the next thing not to do is don't drive down the road riding the clutch with your foot on the clutch the whole time you're driving. Have your foot on the clutch, pick it up. And then when you're done, put it to the side. Do not drive with your foot on the clutch or you will wear it out. I had a customer years ago with a standard transmission BMW. He kept wearing the clutches out, and I thought, I wonder why he's wearing the clutches out. So I said, let's go for a ride. So we went for a ride. So I said to him, why do you have one foot on the clutch and one foot on the gas all the time? He said, well, the driver's instructors told me to do that. One foot on the clutch and one foot on the gas. I said, that person's an idiot. Don't listen to him. Do not ride the clutch. Now, the next thing not to do is, if you're parking on a hill, don't just shut the car off and then put it in gear and walk away. I've seen more cars roll down hills because they either came out of gear or the engine wasn't strong enough to hold it and it just started slowly rolling backwards. What you want to do is have one foot on the clutch pushed down, one on the brake, then put it in gear and pull the emergency brake on. Then when you shut the car off, guess what? It's not going to roll anywhere. Now, modern clutches need very little maintenance, but you don't want to forget the tiny bit of maintenance that a modern clutch system needs. Now, when I was a kid, most clutches were manually adjustable, like my motorcycle here. You want to have, half, quarter-inch of play before it starts to grab. That was just adjusted by turning the star adjuster. As they wear, they actually got tighter, and you have to loosen them up a little. It's a very simple thing, and if you have a car like that, do adjust it every once in a while when it gets too tight. Now, most modern vehicles use hydraulic clutches that have brake fluid in them. You don't need to adjust them, they adjust themselves, but the fluid does get dirty over time. So, you want to change the fluid and flush it out every 2, 3, 4 years. It's no big deal to do, but if you don't, the dirty fluid inside can ruin the seals. And some of these clutch systems cost a lot of money to change the master or slave cylinders. For example, some Ford pickup trucks with standard transmissions, the slave cylinder is built inside the housing, so you have to pull the transmission off to change the slave cylinder.
No zones means no victory. Take them and crush your enemies. Enemy claimed Zone C. You captured Zone B.
And the clutch disc gets dang, just don't replace the clutch disc. Get a whole kit with all the parts. When the clutch disc gets thin,
You're in the
then
lead.
you need to change it. But don't just buy the
Enemy
disc.
claimed
Get
Zone A.
information on it. It's a gigantic job. Get a clutch set.
Just took the lead.
The disc, the plate, servo bearings. And this one, hey, it's
Zone C captured. You have zone advantage.
It's foolhardy to pull a transmission off a car and guess that the other parts will last for a lot longer. Change everything, then you have to think about it for a long time.
Zone B lost.
How to make your standard transmission car last as long as possible and serve you many years.
You captured Zone A. You have zone advantage.
Automatic transmission often needs. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.
Zone C lost. Zone B captured. Zone advantage is yours. You've gained the lead. Zone A lost. You're falling behind. You captured Zone C. You have advantage. 2 for 1. Zone B lost. Zone C lost. It's a power play. Get those zones back. Zone A captured. You captured Zone B. You have zone advantage. That shut them down. Gains the lead. Zone B lost. Zone C captured. You have advantage. Zone C lost. You captured Zone B. Zone advantage is yours. I need a hunter like you with the red jacks. Zone C captured. That's a power play. You took them. Now hold them. Zone A lost. Zone B lost. Only 5 minutes left. You captured Zone B. You have zone advantage. They have the lead, but the match isn't over. Zone C lost. Zone A captured. You have advantage. That shut them down. You're in the lead. Zone C captured. Zone A lost. Power play. Keep the pressure on. Zone C lost. Three minutes left. Zone A captured. You have advantage. Keep this up and the battle is yours. Zone A lost. You captured Zone C. You have advantage. Zone C lost. You captured Zone C. Zone advantage is yours. Zone B lost. You captured Zone A. You have zone advantage. One minute. A well-fought victory. You're a wall around those zones. Take that iron will beyond the Crucible.